Just imagine a huge number of people gathering at a huge stadium to watch somebody singing and dancing. This somebody is not even a human being to begin with. He or she is merely a virtual avatar. Hi, good morning ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chong. I'm a songwriter, a producer, a music composer, a music educationist, and a music researcher from Singapore. Thank you very much for being here this morning, and thank you very much for having me here for this keynote presentation on insights about the Chinese popular music market. While China still has issues with music copyright and royalty payment, right? And hence songwriters were not so keen in the past to work with the Chinese. But recently things have been changing year after year, in recent years especially. In the past, it's quite easy to go to some Chinese website to download illegally songs. Today, it's not so easy now, right? It's improving, not perfect, but much better. And because of such improvement in copyright in China, it has, in recent years, brought about tremendous growth in digital output technology. Just look at these past few years, tremendous growth. And in 2016, China was the top 7 countries in the world with the highest streaming revenue, just one notch below South Korea, right? And even though, for example, only 5% of QQ Music is like the Chinese equivalent of Spotify, right? So only 5% of QQ Music users are paying subscribers versus 40% seen in Spotify. Yet, the estimated total music live streaming revenue in China was already a whopping $8.47 billion in 2016. That's a lot of money. So I want you to imagine yourself being an artist in China, mainland China today, right? It is possible for you actually to hold your own concert right at your doorstep. How so? Through streaming online concert. And for your fans, they don't have to be with you physically. They are also at home, in front of their TV screen, in front of their computer screens, watching you streaming online. And while they are watching you, they can actually pay money to buy virtual gifts and send those gifts to you. What a way to earn money, right? It's happening in China. Another example would be this holographic virtual pop stars. This idea first came out from Japan, but it's happening in China as well. Just imagine a huge number of people gathering at a huge stadium to watch somebody singing and dancing live on stage, right? Except this somebody is not even a human being to begin with. He or she is merely a virtual avatar. Sounds strange to you? It's happening in China. Unlike in K-pop, where artists are groomed systematically to perfection and are predictable, in China, because things keep changing at lightning speed, new artists can suddenly emerge from all kinds of reality shows supported with huge budgets. We all know how much money China has, right? If they set their mind on doing something, they can always pour in a lot of money and do it in a very big scale manner. And so that's the case for all these reality shows. They all have huge budgets, they are huge. There are many of them in China. For example, you have The Voice of China, I Am a Singer, Come Sing With Me, Chinese Idol, etc., 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 etc. Okay? For this reason, it is very difficult to predict what would happen tomorrow in the music scene in China. But it also means that for you and me as songwriters, we have all the opportunities to write music and songs for the Chinese market for a variety of different purposes. For example, for reality shows, OSTs, online gaming, virtual artists, etc., etc., apart from those regular artists that we are familiar with. We all know how popular worldwide English pop songs or even K-pop songs are today, right? But the pertinent question now is, do the Chinese also consume them in China? Interesting question, right? Let's find out from the pie chart. Well, not really. 82% of Chinese people listens to Chinese songs. Only 9% listens to English songs. What about these Chinese songs? What kind of songs? What kind of genres are we talking about for these Chinese songs? Let's find out. 89% belongs to the pop genre, okay? And only 4%, a small 4%, belongs to dance, rap, hip-hop combined. Really, really small, right? And by the way, when I use the word pop here, I'm referring to ballads. Okay, so ballads, ballads, and more ballads, right? So amongst the uncertainties mentioned earlier on, yet it seems quite certain that the ballads genre will be here to stay for a while, like it has always been for a while already, right? So then it begs the question, why ballads? Why do the Chinese people like ballads so much, right? I can think of a few reasons. The first reason is that in China, because many Chinese are farmers from the rural areas in China, China is so huge, right? So these people traditionally relate more to ballads, okay? And by ballads, I meant those slow, sentimental, sad, romantic love songs with a very weak beat. Now this is important, weak beat, okay? And these songs are also mainly acoustic. You hear piano, strings, acoustic guitars, acoustic drums in them, right? And also very important, these songs, the melody are easy to sing, meant for karaoke goers. So the idea about C-pop having easy to sing melody, it makes sense for karaoke goers. And karaoke is significant because a lot of income come from karaoke, right? So much so that when an artist releases an album or single, he or she would also at the same time very likely to release music video, MV meant for karaoke. While ballad seems likely to remain as a core of C-pop for at least a while, yet in a conflicting manner, China still appears to be very international and open to Western influences, like I said earlier on, all at the same time. And if you were to think about it, looking at China's size, we are talking about 1.3 billion people, right? With such a huge population, does it even make sense to assume that China would not be able to accommodate all the different musical genres in the world, albeit to different extents, right? Earlier on, we said about only 4% listens to rap in China, right? But guess what? 4% of 1.3 billion people is still a lot of people, okay? Therefore, for these reasons, writers from the West, you guys, need not necessarily pull your hair over trying to write a ballad with Chinese sensibilities. It can be very difficult for you unless you know the Chinese language, right? Rather than doing that, why not just continue to write your up-tempo songs, your Western-styled songs, those that you are familiar with, you're better at, right? In that way, you differentiate yourself from the Chinese writers. Writers from the West are very much valued by the Chinese for your Western taste, for your upbeat songs. For example, in cosmopolitan Singapore, where I'm from, Singapore is in a very special situation. We are familiar with Western cultures and Eastern cultures. And so those Chinese up in the north, they appreciate Singaporean writers for the fact that when we send them the demos, we sound both Western and including Chinese sensibilities all at once, sometimes even with Southeast Asian flavors too, which are very exotic to the Chinese up in the north. Also, some Chinese acts are already approaching famous Western songwriters, even as we speak, right? Precisely for your Western sounding taste, as well as your upbeat tempo songs.